what that fan park gave us, walking down to that ground, there was a belief in absolutely everyone.
I just wish I was 25 again to have another 10 years, but life doesn't work like that, does it?
After an international break dogged by debates over singing or not singing national anthems, it's back to domestic football and Anfield, where everyone has been singing the same tune so far this season. The home side have picked up 3 wins out of 3, but this is when the calendar starts to get busy. The Champions League returns next week, and fittingly today, the Reds face a famous name of European Cups of yesteryear. It is Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest. Kick-off here today is at 3 p.m. Yeah, welcome along to Matchday Live and to Anfield, where today I am joined by Ray and Jay, Messrs Hounted and Spearing. We'll get the boys' thoughts on this afternoon's clash in just a second. But first, let's bring you Liverpool's team for today's meeting with Nottingham Forest. Perhaps given the results so far, it's unsurprising that Arne Slot sticks with the same 11 that started at Old Trafford last time out. So that means the Liverpool team is as follows. It's Alisson Becker in goal, then Virgil van Dijk, Ibu Konate, Luis Diaz, Dominic Szoboszlai and Alexis McAllister. There's Mohamed Salah, Diogo Jota, Andy Robertson, Ryan Gravenberch and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Curtis Jones returns to be amongst the subs for the first time this season. He's joined on the bench with Kelleher, Gomez, Endo, Nunez, Gakpo, Tsimikas, Kwanzaa and Bradley. Yeah, in some ways not a surprise, but I guess given the travels some of the players have had, given the interruption of international football, we maybe could have seen some alterations, right?
No, I don't think so. I think with all the players coming back fit and healthy, the manager will be absolutely delighted. Now, if you're playing well, you want to be in the team. And that's what's happened with the Liverpool players at the moment. 3 wins out of 3. Went to Old Trafford, dismantled Manchester United. So why would you change it? If they're fit and healthy and they feel good in themselves, I'd play them. And just looking at the team there and the bench, it is a really solid squad at the moment. Lots of players are on the bench as well who could easily fit into the starting 11. Manager will be delighted with the options that he's got.
Yeah, I suppose there is that value in keeping players who are in a good place in a side, building on that momentum, that confidence. Luis Diaz is a player with real belief at the moment. 3 goals so far, 2 last time out. Give him a go again. Yeah,
I don't think, for players that have gone on and started the first 3 games in the same team, for me, it's if you were changed out of it now after an international break, I think you'd be really disappointed to see yourself out at the starting 11. And you say the form that they're in, going to Manchester United, just like Ray said, and really putting Man United to the sword, really making them look like a real poor team. I thought we were outstanding on that day, and the team there going away would obviously want to. Has the international break come at the wrong time for us? Obviously, we'll find out today, but the momentum was going forward, and hopefully we can take it in today.
I suppose with the games now starting to come that little bit more frequently, Ray, it'll be in the coming weeks where maybe the manager will start to utilise that squad a little bit more. Up till now, it's fine. 1 game a week, deal with that. But it's a different picture when you're playing Tuesday, Wednesday night in between.
Yeah, absolutely. But you'll know that. You'll be prepared for that. It seems him and his staff are very efficient when it comes to situations like that. Very knowledgeable in what they should be doing. But at the moment, it's about the here and the now. It's not about predicting what's going to happen in a game down the line or 2 games down the line. Liverpool need to win a title again. One title in the last 30 odd years. Fans want to see them competing every season to win it from Manchester City, or won it 4 years in a row. So the onus is on Liverpool at the moment. They've got to have a really good start. You have to make sure that you're competitive every game. Funny enough, on the way here to the stadium today, I heard a few people saying, well, it's not a big game today. And I was like, yeah, it is. Regardless who you're playing against, it's still worth 3 points. It doesn't matter if it's Man City, Man United, whoever you've got here at Anfield. Regardless who the opposition is, what's on offer? 3 points. Make sure that you're focused there. Make sure that all the preparations are right. The players are physically and mentally prepared for this game. Because Nottingham Forest won't come here and lie down. You know, I think it was 1 win and 2 draws in the 3 games that they've played. So it shows you they're unbeaten so far. So they'll come here and they'll think, if we can upset Liverpool early on, get after them, you know, maybe force them backwards, maybe the home support will be a little bit quiet. Home fans have got to be right on it from minute 1 today. They've got to get behind the side and drive them on, because when they do that, we've seen the performances, not conceded a goal so far, just tells you how good Liverpool have been in transition, getting forward, creating opportunities and scoring goals.
The first blip of the Arne Slot era, I guess, if we can call it that, is the news this week that the Harvey Elliott's out for around about a month or so with that foot fracture he picked up with England's 21s. Timing just so cruel for a player who's actually one of the standouts in pre-season. Perhaps thought he would get minutes earlier in the campaign, hasn't started as of yet, and now when the games come, he can't be involved.
Yeah, for me, knowing Harvey Elliott quite well, I think it'll be a real blow for him. Like you say, with everybody being on the international break over the summer, with the Euros, with the Copa America, it was a huge opportunity for him to get really in there first with the manager, real knuckle down and show him what he was about and try and stake a claim to play come the season. I felt in pre-season he was outstanding. You know, he led the line well, he led it in midfield well, with the young boys all around him and helping them out. Okay, he found himself maybe not playing in the first couple of games, but he obviously made an impact off the bench. We've seen that with the new manager, he likes to make subs, so he was going to get game time here and then. He would have been disappointed not to start, but to then go and get this blow of a broken foot and leave him out for a couple of weeks will really give him a bit of a kick. But listen, it's a long season ahead. You've mentioned it there. We've got the Champions League, the Cup games, the League games, and I think I believe I read what the manager mentioned the other day about that. He likes to rotate his squad. He likes to make subs. So when he comes back, he knows there's going to be plenty of opportunities for him to then restake that claim. Yeah,
that's one of the really interesting things actually that Jay's picked up on, Ray. The manager does seem to like to use his bench in a game. He's not afraid of that. We've seen that in all the matches so far. You get to sort of 60 minutes plus, you make 2 or 3 changes in a go to utilise that kind of depth.
The main reason why you do that, Mark, is because you've got like for like. If you haven't got players good enough to come on and make an impact, you're reluctant to make the changes. But at the moment, I just said with the squad and how the depth of it is, how good it is at the moment, it's quite easy for the manager to make changes because there's different style of players currently on the bench to what you're starting with. So depending on what you need, you might need someone to run in behind. You might need someone who's a bit more powerful. So you might just change tactically what you've got on the pitch to start with the players that you're bringing on. That's what Liverpool have got. It's not always the same type of players. They've got different players with different attributes who can come on and impact a football match, and that's why you need variety in your squad.
I mentioned that Harvey had a good pre-season. Not far behind him, probably Curtis Jones, another player where timing is being cruel. He's now back involved for the first time. How big an asset can he be, and how does he sort of pick up where he left off over in the States?
He just needs to, listen, Curtis is an outstanding person, but for me he's an outstanding player. He's a big player for this football club. Over the pre-season, again, he put his foot down where the manager knew that he wanted to start him, he wanted to play, he was going to step in, he's going to be a big player for the club this season. And again, he obviously got the injury, which is really frustrating. But working with him nice and closely over the last couple of weeks in an international break with obviously the 21s, you've seen the desire, the commitment, the workhorse of how hard and desperate he is to get back and be involved in this squad. So obviously delighted for him to be involved today, but Curtis will now be chomping at the bit to get on the starting 11 team.
Give us an insight, how much has he evolved as a player and a person in the time you've known him?
He's evolved from a person where he was a young local scouser coming into a team, obviously a little bit chirpy now and again, and to that obviously never really said anything to the older players. He wasn't brave enough to say to the experienced ones, but he would get after the younger boys. But now over the last 2 weeks, I've seen a real maturity about him. He's guiding players, he's guiding young lads. We've just signed Rio over from Chelsea and working with him, and Curtis was pulling to a side to guide him through situations on the field of maybe coming inside to combine and helping him out, and to see that complete different change and of how he's grown up. He's a big player for Liverpool Football Club now, and he's got a real good future for us. But he's now, I think the fans will look at him to someone that will come and have a real big say on how this season goes. Are we going to go and win silverware? He's a big part of it. Yeah, big player potentially for the manager this season. He's back available for him as well today. Okay, let's hear from the boss now. Here are the best bits and the key moments from Arne Slot's pre-match media conference.
Given the international break after the 3 games that you'd had and such a great start, is there any concern that the momentum that you built up there might be interrupted because of that?
That's always the questions after 2 weeks. But if you saw them playing with the national teams, I think the momentum is still there for the individual. And now let's see if they come back together, if they can play the same way as they did in the last few games. But it also depends on the opponent you face. So sometimes they make it more difficult for you, or than in other situations. So of course we look at ourselves a lot, but you also have to relate it to the team you face. And Nottingham Forest hasn't lost this season yet. I think they won the last 2 games of last season, so they're in a good place as well. So it's going to be a tough one and an interesting one to look forward to.
And in terms of the defence, not having conceded a goal so far, how much work did you initially think that you needed to do on that when you first arrived? Was that one of your top priorities when you got here?
Yeah, to tell them exactly what the opposite of what you are saying. The defence is keeping a clean sheet. In my opinion, it's not the defence who keep a clean sheet. It's 11 players who keep a clean sheet, and that's why we try to convince them constantly about this. Because in an ideal world, we don't need Alisson. But that ideal world is still not there, because against United we needed him a few times. Against Brentford we needed him one time in particular, and against Ipswich in the first half as well. So it's a team performance that we don't concede, and that has a lot to do with us putting in a lot of work without the ball.
Trent played 2 full games for England over the break, played very well. You've been managing his minutes at the start of the season. Is that something you'll still continue to do, or do you now see him as after those 2 games for England that he can do 90 minutes for you?
Yeah, he proved that he could do 90 minutes, but maybe he could have done that before as well. In the Ipswich game, I saw that he became a bit tired towards the end of the game, but he played 2 games afterwards, so I think he's completely ready to play 90. And sometimes in the beginning it was that I saw he was tired, and sometimes it's also having another player like Conor Bradley who can do the job really well. So he's able to play 90, he showed, like all the others. But I have a whole team to manage and a whole team to prepare for the season. And it's also good for Conor to get his playing minutes, or for the one that comes in for Mo, or the one that comes in for, which are the ones that I took off, I don't know exactly. So it's not always you guys, and I understand, try to look always at the individual. I look at the team. And I have to prepare the whole team, the whole squad, for the upcoming fixtures.
Arne, you've had a very settled team so far, but with this schedule now with 7 games in the next 3 weeks, do you see that as you're going to have to change in terms of rotating, and it's going to give opportunities to players that haven't had those chances so far this season?
That's something that I decide before every game. So my former teams were able to play. We were actually playing almost every game with the same players, but it's a different league. So I might have to adjust to that, but it also depends on what they show. So and what they show, I mean in terms of physique. In the first 3 games we were really strong physique, but we only played 1 game each 7 days. Now they have a point to prove, and I assume that they all want to play every game. So if they want to, they have to show up every time, and I don't mean in also in quality, but especially in work rate. But we have more than 11 very good players, so I can use more. But I can't tell you now if I'm going to do so or not. That I'm going to decide before every game that comes up. And I get some feedback from medical staff, performance staff, where they are and what's the best thing to do, and then we make the decision before every game.
Yeah, the thoughts of Arne Slot coming into today's game with Forest. Perfect start so far, as we touched on. Not just 3 wins, 3 clean sheets. It wasn't that long ago, Ray, when we had that fear about early goals against and the kind of terror of the first 15-20 minutes. That hasn't been there by and large up until now.
It's all gone, isn't it? Now, listen, now, Managerial last season had to make a lot of changes in key positions, whereas at the moment, at the start of this season, he's been able to put the same team out, and he's happy to do so. But I'm really interested to listen to what you were saying there. A lot of data involved now. You find out internationally from the international managers and the staff there what was their data there from our players, and then when they come back they all put it into the computers, and it's all about fitness levels. And just said that when the lads come back and they're fit, I'll start them. But once I see you know, the stats coming down and they start getting a little bit tired. That's why he makes the changes they do. So it's nothing to do with you playing good or bad. A lot of the time it's just down to how much energy you've got left. And I like that. I think it's a good way to do it because you prevent injuries that way as well. Because you've not got players playing through it like we used to do. Keep going. And then at the end you've got a calf strain or a
Did you ever find it
muscle.
hard after international breaks? Liverpool's record is actually pretty good. They've lost one of the last 24 matches that have come after international fixtures. But did you ever find it a challenge to go again? Sometimes it can be hard for players.
No, I didn't, because the coaching staff here, Ronnie Moran, Roy Evans, let you know, you might have been away in international duty, son, but you're now back playing for this club. You better be ready, and you knew that. You know, that was what was all part and parcel of being a Liverpool player at that particular time. And you were ready. If Ronnie and Roy said you were ready, rest assured. And I think just listening to Arne there, he's really refreshing. He's very open, very transparent. He tells you how it is, and the players will know that as well. And I like my managers to be like that, you know, to tell you exactly what's going on, because you know where you stand, and that's where you want as a player.
Touch on the fact that so far, by and large, we've been defensively sound, and that was kind of the case in the biggest test so far, and that was at Old Trafford last time out. There were one or two moments where United could have threatened, but by and large, we were pretty comfortable for a game at Old Trafford, which isn't an easy game, of course.
Yeah, we did look comfortable, but you then have to remember that we have the number one goalkeeper in the world of Ali behind, so you know that breeds you confidence as well. But as a foundation, when the manager first came in, it was a huge thing in the pre-season, working on your structure of how to defend, obviously stop counter-attacks, work behind the ball, work and try and win the ball back as quick as you can. You know, working with him again last week with the under-21s, the main word that was coming out of his mouth was press, win the ball back, press, get that final yard, you know, and make contact with the opposition, because he has a 5-second rule which is quite unique, and if you try and press the ball and you can't win it straight away, if they break through that press, the whole team have to be back behind the ball in 5 seconds. You'll see probably on the sideline today, if you look at it closely, on the sideline the whole staff are screaming saying get back, and if the more men you have behind the ball, the less chance the opposition are going to have to score.
One of the things that stood out so far with him from us on the sidelines is his willingness to give proper sort of detailed tactical answers to questions. He did it after the game at Old Trafford, basically explained how they'd nullified United. Not all managers are willing to do that or can explain things as well. How have you found him from that regard, his ability to identify things and break things down?
I think he's incredible, but I think he does it because I know that working very closely and being obviously the privilege of being able to do that, you know that he has 3, 4, 5 different ways of defeating the opposition. So he's clever in what he's doing because obviously people think they can read him what he's doing, but we have a very special way of doing things, and obviously I don't want to go into too much detail, but the under-21s are the opposition. So when we go round to the first team side, we play as the opposition. We obviously look at what Forest do, obviously Brentford and obviously Ipswich and so on, and United, obviously what we've seen. We then go and play against the 2 different types of 11s, and we cause them problems, and on the spot the boss has to then decide, you know, and try and figure out how he competes against it, how will he nullify it, how he will break through it, and you know, seeing him work on a daily basis and right in that tense moment of how to figure things out, it's a real incredible thing to see.
There are many different ways to skin a cat, to rework an old phrase. Some managers can be motivators, some can change things at half-time. Not all can change it during a game, but we are starting to see that with the new man, Arne Slot.
Yeah, as I say, he's usually impressive at the moment. As Jay said there, he told you how he beat Man United, but there's probably other ways that he could have went about it. It wasn't just the way that he told you, and that's what he's got to his advantage. He's a great knowledge, a great understanding of the game, but a great understanding of his players and what they bring to the table every game they go out and they're involved in. And that's usually important as well from a manager's point of view. The players have got to trust you, they've got to believe in you, and I think they have. You know, from minute one he's come into the club, you know he's the manager. A bit like when Jurgen first came into the club, I've got to say, Jurgen was like that as well. You knew who the gaffer was, and I think that this group of players knows exactly who's in charge as well. He's put down a marker, and it's about, you know, making sure you're hard to play against, and that's going to be the case today, because we'll know Forest's line up in a moment or two. But there's been a few changes, and I think the reason is every club it comes to, Anfield, it's about sitting back and how do we nullify Liverpool, and then it's up to Liverpool to show ways and means to break the opposition down. One thing I've been unbelievably, I think, important at the moment is how fit the players are. The level of fitness coming back at the start of the season is quite unique. It used to take players 6, 7 games to get up to your speed where you really felt good in yourself and you got round the pitch. From game one, against Ipswich, I noticed with players. I was up here for the game against Brentford. Man United just showed you some of the highlights there. Getting around the pitch, closing down quickly, winning it. And then the changeover from defending to attacking, lightning quick forward, and the passing and the movement terrific, creating opportunities, scoring goals. The level of confidence throughout the squad, not just the starting 11, is unbelievably high at the moment.
It certainly is. OK, there's lots going on here today, as you would expect. So let's cross over to Peter McDowell now, who's over in the main stand.
Thank you, gentlemen. We are in the Anfield beat, atmosphere building up here, of course, ahead of the kick-off. And when Nottingham Forest come into play, we always think about the great Brian Clough sides, and they were considered one of England's best powers at the time. This place and this opposition today produced one of the best performances Liverpool fans have ever seen back in April of 1988. And this fella played in it, Nigel Spackman, who joins us for this one today, and will be with Steve Hunter on commentary later on. Sir Tom Finney famously said it was one of the best club performances he'd ever seen. How good were Liverpool that day?
Well, we won 5-0. It could have been double that, I have to say, on a muddy pitch. We just were superb that night. And I remember my old teammate and roommate, Johnny Aldridge, saying to me, Spackers, I need a couple of goals tonight. I'm going for that golden boot. And I set him up for one. But I think Gary Gillespie scored, I think Ray Houghton scored as well. It was just a fantastic performance, and I think the crowd just stayed here afterwards and just applauded us off. It was that good.
And they were sick of the sight of you, Notts Forest. You beat them in the semi-final of the FA Cup a few days before.
Yeah, we beat them at Hillsborough, 2-0. Johnny Aldridge scored a great goal. But I think all round, we were just too good for them. And at that time, we were playing at the top of our game. Johnny Barnes was absolutely magnificent as normal. You know, the front four were brilliant, and me and Macca in the middle of the park just working hard for the rest of them. But defensively, we were sound. Bruce made a great save in that game as well at 0-0. But overall, beating them in the Cup semi-final and then hammering them here at Anfield, it doesn't get any better than that, I have to say.
What was it like to come into that team? Liverpool had just won the double when you joined, and Ronnie Whelan was out injured. You come in, you were versatile. You could play in loads of different positions.
Yeah, well, I think that's what you've got to do, especially in today's football. You've got to play in different positions. Stevie Nicol could play, right back, left back, centre back, right wing up at Newcastle, where he scored a hat trick, if you remember. So I think everybody, Gary Gillespie could play at right back as well. Ronnie played at right back, left back, midfield. He could play anywhere as well. But that's what you had to do, because obviously the numbers weren't as large. You didn't have the great big benches to change games, so you had to be in that squad and be adaptable to whatever was asked of you.
I wanted to ask this fellow as well about Federico Chiesa, because you watch so much Italian football. Salah is mesmerising at the moment, isn't he? But does that give Liverpool an option to maybe rest him from time to time? And what do you think of the signing as well?
Well, first of all, I'll say about Mo. I think Mo has been absolutely outstanding, having a rest for the first time for a long time, getting over that hamstring injury, and at 32 looks as fit as a butcher's dog, as we would say. I think he looks really sharp, scoring goals, creating goals. Maybe could have had more goals as well, but he's back to his very, very best, and we need that. We need his goals. I think Diaz has been magnificent as well. Jota, great to see him back and scoring goals as well. But Chiesa's a funny signing for me. I think he's a fantastic player. I think when you look back, he was probably the best Italian player, and then suddenly a terrible injury, ACL, has really set him back, and he hasn't really established himself again in the national team or when he was at Juventus last year of his contract and letting him go. New manager comes in, but hopefully for him, a change of club, a change of manager, change of league, he can get back to his very best, because if he can get back to his very best, we've got a fantastic signing.
You're going to be hearing his dulcet tones a little bit later on with Steve Hunter as well. Prediction time. They've picked up a little bit away from home this year, Notts Forest, but does this provide a tricky test for Liverpool, or should it be fairly straightforward?
Well, Pete, both teams unbeaten, but I think home here at Anfield, if we start really well, I think we'll go on and win comfortably. But Forest, I think, doing well. They've got some dangerous players now. They're playing with a bit more confidence, as you said, especially away from home. But I think us today, we'll be too strong for them. And if we could keep another clean sheet, I think we'll win comfortably, maybe 3-0.
Hope you're right. Enjoy the game.
I'm right.
Thanks, pal.
Cheers, Pete.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, Spacker's not the only one happy to see that game from 88 back over again. Ray also a keen observer. An assist and a goal that day from you. Not bad.
Yeah, and I missed a sitter as well. We worked a really well worked free kick. John Barnes into Peter Beardsley, reversed it. I mean, all I had to do was lift it over the goalkeeper and hits it straight at him. But the goal itself was just a given goal. And it was a perfect little reverse ball from John Barnes into a path. And
Lovely touch.
It was a nice touch to get it away from Des Walker, and then just right foot slot past the goalkeeper.
Good Barnett as well.
Yeah, look, the Barnett's, I've got to say, Nigel's Barnett's really nice as well, isn't it? I remember when he used to have mousy blonde hair. Don't know what's happened.
So, I'm not going to cast any aspersions
I know,
about
I'm
Nigel's
saying, I remember
Barnett.
mousy blonde, that was all.
9 times you played Forest between 87 and 89. What were they like at that point? Were they still kind of a team with a bit of lore about them?
Yeah, look, listen, we had some really good results against them. I remember speaking to Stuart Pearce about it, and he said, we just couldn't get the upper hand against you. You know, you were just that good. But that 5-0 performance, I've got to say, was the highlight. Everything about our game that night was absolutely tremendous. The way we passed the ball, our attitude from moment one, we got the goals at the right time, but they just couldn't handle us. I mean, some of the goals that we scored, the passing, one ball from Peter Beardsley for John Aldridge when he clipped it over the goalkeeper was absolutely brilliant. There was another ball, John Barnes into Steve McMahon, he just let it run past him. You could see the Forest defenders were like, what's he done there? And he's just run through to John, and Stuart Pearce got back to make a really good cover and challenge. But yeah, we had some great moments against them, but some really good results as well. They're decent side, some good players, and obviously with Brian Clough in charge, it was always interesting when it came to the managers, but certainly we were the better side over them years that you mentioned.
Okay guys, well, it's now time to leave our viewers on social media. If you are watching this and you aren't yet a subscriber to LFC TV, then you can find the details of how to sign up online at liverpoolfc.com/watch. Coming up in the rest of our pre-match show, we'll look ahead to the game with Andy Robertson, and we will also speak to Ian Callaghan about the sad passing of Reds legend Ron Yates. There's plenty to come on Matchday Live. As mentioned, Nigel Spackman will be back on the mic alongside Steve Hunter at just before 3. But after full time, we are with you until 6 o'clock for reaction from today's game. That show will also be available as a podcast later on. Do look out for the full match replay from Sunday at 6 p.m. on LFC TV. And as ever, our exclusive behind-the-scenes footage when Inside Anfield lands on our Facebook and YouTube pages, also on Sunday. Okay, for those of you who are staying with us, do sit tight. After this break, we will have plenty more to come, including Nottingham Forest's boss Nuno, and plenty more as well for the boys down pitch side. We'll see you soon.